So next on the job, while we wait for the dimple dice to turn up, is to remove the driver's seat. I did explain in a previous video, or previous part of this video, that we needed to take the seat out to put the new runners in. So the first job is to get the seat out, take all the seat belts out of the anchor points. What you'll be able to see is, and I'll show you, is where the new bolts need to sit. So we do have some proper MSA FIA based spec seat mounts that are going to go into this. So first off, let's get this out. Initially I put these bars in and I completely fucked up because I measured from the back wall here to here from the jetter and they were perfectly placed, and I measured from the pedals forward. I somehow managed to mix some angles up or measurements up and I just put them in the wrong place. So as you can see, they are about 6 inches away from where they should be. In actual fact, they need to come back probably another inch and down a lot further. So what I am going to do is, if you can see the original seat runner there, I've got to take that out. I've got to take it out on both sides because else I can't get the bar slightly low enough to be able to go in there. So that's got to come out. These bars have got to come out now. These ones here, and then I can grind all the surfaces flat again, and then we've got these new ones to fit in. So these are the new ones.
Shit.
Let me get a knife. Even better, a pair of scissors. Bolts. And some laser cut goodness. So you have two end plates. A pair of seat mounts per bar. So you have 2 end plates per bar, a pair of seat mounts per bar. Obviously that's where the seat bolts into. So as for the bars, they're about 3mm thick. They're good chromoly, I think, or they might even be CDS. But what they're generally designed is a bit longer than you need, and you cut the rest down. So not a problem. It's time to adjust and change these seat runners. They were only test fit. I knew I'd have to change them at some point. It's never been on the track like this, so it is what it is. I bolt that back in there, I can see where the original holes were supposed to be, as in the ones that I made just to move the seat back. So I've got no issues here knowing where the seat needs to be. And also the seat was all the way forward on the runner, so I did have the opportunity to move it back if I wanted to. Again, that's why the holes are there. So I'm not going to cut anything up at the moment. I'm just going to kill off all the bits and pieces I need, and we'll bring you back later on. Right, well, we're getting somewhere. So I've cut the bar down a little bit. That is going to have its legs cut off, so I can push it down, and it just gives a bigger surface area for that to mount to and not move around on. Now the good thing about it actually is, behind this is actually quite solid, and it's got a joining piece. The closer you can get it to this, the better, because that's the strongest point of the floor plan right there. That's why it's still left in. On this side, it's the tunnel. The tunnels aren't very thick, so I'm going to keep as much of this as I can. I've still got a lot to grind off down the back here to get that nice and flat, and then I'm going to have to just kind of fettle that in. The hard thing about this is, because the tunnel has such a loft to it, pushing that against the loft is just not going to happen. So I'm going to have to elongate this hole slightly so it can lean towards it, and I can get a good weld all the way around. Motherfuck! So let me just run you through why this is now an issue. That bar there, with the additional mounted hardware that I've got, is not MSA UK in regulation. So I'll put a picture up of what the regulation states now. And these bars do not match it. So this is what you have to buy. And they are the ones that I'm gonna now have to fit. What a complete fucking ball ache. So essentially what this means is that bar's got to now come back out, simply because I want to do it properly. I want to make sure it is within spec. I want to make sure it is done properly. So what I'm going to do is just cut this bar off. I'll be able to use this bar in other places. I've got ideas for these two lengths of bar that I've got. I've just ordered the new seat rails. So I'll get them hopefully next week, but I'll get these cut out and start thinking about how I'm going to put the new ones in. Welcome back. So it's been a few days since I was last in the garage trying to fix things with these seat bars. The new ones have turned up. Let me just show you. They are from Lifeline, and they are the FIA MSA spec proven ones, and they fit slightly differently. I went for the flat bar ones, as you can see here, instead of the round bar. I don't know, I prefer it. I don't know why, it's just the way it is, but check out how thick that metal is. That ain't going nowhere. And the way that this works is, so this will get welded to this plate. That plate, once welded to both ends, bolts to that. and that is welded into the car. So actually the seat rails become kind of removable, and that's fantastic. And actually makes the whole thing a lot easier to do and a lot easier to sort out. One thing that the MSA UK or MS UK FIA handbook states is that the flat bar, this, needs to be drilled, and these slugs need to be welded in, top and bottom, and they've got like a threaded insert in there, and that's what the seat rail mounts to. Absolutely brilliant design, but it's caused such a headache. So what I've been doing is I've been patching the removal of the old bar, because I really welded that in thinking it was going to be the one that stayed. I put a bit more weld into it than I would have normally, and that obviously in turn took longer to remove. So it is what it is. Got the new ones. I'm now patching up what I needed to fix. What I have done is, and I'll show you just quickly, I've put in some 1.5mm steel plates where it was just weak. I mean, I know the tunnel is a bit thicker metal than most around in the inside, but it was just a bit flimsy, so I've put this patch panel in. It was covering up a hole that I'd made. I need to obviously grind it all flat, but it'll just make it a little bit stronger to weld to. And if I can spin this camera around quick, there's the other side. There was actually two holes here, one from the big weldy bar that I welded in, and a little one here where I knocked the old one out. So yeah, just got to regrind all of that sort of stuff, tidy it all up, and then put the new ones in. So enjoy. So now that I've got that tacked in, I've had to hammer it a little bit to give it the shape it needs to be able to sit flush with the wall. And it's the same on this side. Just tacked it in. I haven't welded it all around, so what I'm going to do is just bolt the end plates on and then measure up for the actual seat bar. Again, it needs to be level, it needs to be straight, and I don't want it being crooked. So that'll take a bit of time and patience, but it's well worth it in the end. Well, that took a bit of time. So she's level, she's in the right spot. I've tightened down the nuts as well. So it's now a case of literally getting that tacked as best as I can. Here we are. So the new seat rails are installed. I haven't put the captive nuts in the bars yet because I want to put the seat in and move it around. But essentially that is it. I actually really like this design. I think it works really well as a seat mount. They are so beefy and they're not going anywhere. So this is how it will sit in. Yeah, really happy with it. It's been an effort, don't get me wrong, and I've been a bit pissed off about it, but it is what it is, and we're now on to, the final stages. So I'll whip these out, drill the holes once I've positioned the seat, whip them out, drill the holes, weld the captive nuts in, put them in, put the seats back in, good to go. But what I am going to do is I'm going to repaint both footwells again, because I've made a right mess, so... Right, cheers. So now that I've piloted the holes ready to be enlarged, the kit comes with some slugs. And the slugs have a chamfered edge on one end and a recessed edge on the other end. And the recessed edge goes in the top. So I'll have to drill, I think it's a 16mm diameter hole for the whole thing to go through. But the top will only need drilling to, I think it's about 13. I'll measure it, but... So, this isn't great science and it's not engineering at its best, and no doubt people will moan about it, but on my adjustable spanner, there's some millimetre markings. And just for quick reference, I can do that. I know it's 16mm. It's the same with the opening. I just drop it down. And that is 12 and a wiggle, nearly. So what I'll do is I'll just open it out to 13, let it sit in, and then I can weld around it. So I've got the pillar drill out, as you're just seeing, just to try and keep things straight. The problem is when you have a hand drill, you can wander and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do now is try and find a 16mm drill bit. I really don't know if I have one, and a 13mm to be able to do these holes. So once I've found them, I'll bring you back. Because I don't have a 13mm drill bit, I've had to mark out this kind of chamfer drill, or step drill, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, down to 12mm, so the top of the line is 12mm. If I can go down to that, I can fettle the rest of the hole to make it fit. It's not far off anyway. There you go, that's the recessed bit sat in where it needs to be. And then on the back side, you've got the chamfered bit. Really, really nice. Yeah, mega happy. Might just take a little bit more out of this. Oh, focus. Might just take a little bit more out of that hole. It doesn't seem to be sitting all the way. But yeah, getting there. So what I'm going to do is just carry on with the rest of them. I've got 3 more holes to do, so there's no point you guys watching that. Bring you back in a bit when we start welding. So it's time to get welding. So all I've done is just put a small little tack just to hold them in place, and then I fed a M8 nut all the way through and left about a 5mm gap from the top so I don't weld onto the thread and weld the nut in. And what that'll allow is the nut to act as kind of a heat sink. That's why I've got the aluminium as well, to try and just take some of the heat out the metal, so it doesn't spread and warp and stuff like that. I just want it very localized in this area. So we'll get these welded in, get them back in the car, and we should be done. So there we are, fully welded up, ready to be put back into the car. So they are still a bit warm, so I'll not be touching them. Let me see if I can zoom in. So I just put some nice small filler rod in them, just to keep them down, just to keep the heat localized, everything like that. I didn't want it spreading out too far. And those bolts that I fed in from the other side seem to work really, really well. So this is the top side, so I will have to just flap disc that flat, because obviously the seat rails, seat runners fit onto that and they don't want to be wobbling all over the place. But the bottoms, I'll just be leaving as is. There's no need to touch them, they're not mounting up to anything, and the more metal you have, the stronger it's going to be. So I'm really happy with that. I'll get them in the car, get the seat in, and then figure out what's left to do. And there we have it. We're in. She's not moving. She's not rocking. She's a good distance from her feet on the pedals. The steering wheel is a good distance away from me. I like it here. I like it where I can crank down and I'm not whacking my arms. You know, I don't want them too far outstretched because I don't like that, and I don't want it too close because I just don't feel like I've got it's just not how I want it. So yeah, that feels all good. Good thing about my steering column is I can drop it up and down to help me get in and out, because these are a pain in the arse. The helmet fits. I mean, this is not the helmet I'll be racing in, but this is just a track day helmet, and it's fucking huge. For some reason it's about that far away from my head, and I've tried other helmets and they're not, so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but there's enough room in here. Obviously there's a bit of a bang there. I've got some padding to put up there, but we're in, we're good. So, lessons learnt from this: read the fucking manual. I really wish I'd read MS UK before starting this seat project, and potentially I wish I'd done it before putting the fucking cage in, because my ribs, my knees, my shins are really hurting from just these two bars alone, and it just makes it a really tight space. So I think we're done for the seat. I'll put the harnesses back in another day. The passenger seat will stay like it is. I don't really have passengers anyway, so it's not needed for FIA or MSA regulations, and on race days there won't be a seat there anyway, so happy days. Yeah, cheers for sticking around. It's been a bit of a ball ache, but it's in, it's done, it's now up to spec, and it looks fantastic. So cheers guys, please like and subscribe, leave any comments you can think about. Have a good one. See you in the next one.